In part 4 of this series, we'll explore 17 of the most common problem-solving and risk management interview questions and answers you will be asked during your project manager interview. Each answer can be customized to highlight your unique qualifications and experiences. Before your interview, it's important to research the company and review the job description so you can incorporate key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number 1. Tell me about a time a project went off track and how you handled it. Hiring managers ask this to see how you respond when things don't go according to plan, which is inevitable in project management. They want to understand if you take ownership, stay composed under pressure, and focus on solutions rather than blame. This is also a chance to show how you diagnose issues, communicate effectively, and recover momentum. A strong answer highlights both your problem-solving process and the outcome, including what you learned. I managed a project where we were implementing a new internal tool, and midway through we realized adoption was much lower than expected during initial rollout. Even though we had delivered on the technical requirements, the project was clearly off track because the intended impact wasn't being achieved. Instead of continuing with the rollout as planned, I paused and gathered feedback directly from users to understand the root cause. It turned out that while the tool worked well, it didn't align with existing workflows, which created friction for users. I brought the team together, shared these insights, and we quickly shifted focus toward improving usability rather than adding new features. We redesigned key parts of the process, introduced short training sessions, and relaunched in phases. Adoption improved significantly, and the tool began delivering the value we originally intended. That experience taught me that a project isn't truly successful just because it's delivered. It's successful when it actually works for the people using it. Question number 2. How do you identify risks at the start of a project? Hiring managers ask this to see how proactive you are in preventing issues before they happen. They want to know if you think ahead, involve the right people, and create visibility around potential risks early on. A strong answer should show that you don't rely on assumptions and that you use a structured approach to uncover risks from multiple angles. It should also demonstrate that you understand both technical and non-technical risks. I identify risks at the start of a project by taking a structured and collaborative approach rather than trying to do it on my own. After defining the project scope and objectives, I bring together key stakeholders and team members to walk through each phase of the project and discuss what could potentially go wrong. I look at different areas such as timelines, resource availability, dependencies, and external factors that could impact delivery. I also draw from past project experiences to identify patterns or recurring risks that might not be immediately obvious. Once risks are identified, I document them along with their likelihood and potential impact, which helps prioritize where to focus attention. This creates a clear picture of what needs to be monitored closely from the beginning. By identifying risks early, I'm able to plan ahead and reduce surprises later in the project, which leads to smoother execution and better outcomes. Question number 3. How do you prioritize and assess project risks? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you decide which risks matter most and how you allocate attention and resources. They want to see that you can evaluate both likelihood and impact, rather than treating all risks equally. Your answer should show structure, critical thinking, and the ability to focus on what truly affects the project. I prioritize and assess project risks by evaluating both the likelihood of the risk occurring and the impact it would have on the project if it did. This helps me focus on the risks that could cause the most disruption, rather than trying to address everything equally. I typically categorize risks into different levels, so it's clear which ones require immediate attention and which ones can be monitored over time. For high-priority risks, I work with the team to develop clear mitigation strategies, so we're prepared in advance. I also revisit risk assessments regularly throughout the project because priorities can shift as new information becomes available. This ensures that we're always focused on the most relevant risks. By taking a structured and ongoing approach, I'm able to manage risks effectively without overcomplicating the process. Question number 4. How do you handle unexpected issues during a project? Hiring managers ask this to see how you react in real time when something goes wrong. They want to know if you can stay calm, think clearly, and take action without causing unnecessary disruption. A strong answer should highlight your ability to quickly assess the situation and move toward a solution. When unexpected issues come up, my first priority is to stay calm and understand the situation fully before taking action. I focus on identifying the root cause, so we're not just addressing the symptoms of the problem. Once I have a clear understanding, I bring the relevant team members together to discuss possible solutions and determine the best course of action. I prioritize solutions that minimize impact on timelines and deliverables while still maintaining quality. I also communicate openly with stakeholders about the issue, including what happened, what we're doing to resolve it, and what the expected impact will be. This helps maintain trust and avoid surprises. By staying composed and solution-focused, I'm able to handle unexpected issues effectively and keep the project moving forward. Question number 5. Tell me about a time you had to solve a complex problem in a project. Hiring managers ask this to evaluate your analytical thinking and problem-solving ability in real situations. They want to see how you approach complexity, break down problems, and lead the team toward a solution. Your answer should demonstrate both your thought process and your impact. I worked on a project where we were integrating data from multiple systems into a single reporting platform, and we started encountering inconsistencies in the data that made the reports unreliable. The issue was complex because it involved multiple sources, and it wasn't immediately clear where the problem was coming from. Instead of trying to fix everything at once, I broke the problem down into smaller parts and worked with the team to isolate each data source. We tested them individually to identify where the inconsistencies were occurring. Once we identified the root cause, we implemented a standardized process for data validation and alignment across all systems. I also introduced checkpoints to ensure consistency moving forward. The result was a reliable reporting system that stakeholders could trust. That experience reinforced the importance of breaking down complex problems and approaching them in a structured and methodical way. Question number 6. How do you develop a risk management plan? Hiring managers ask this to see if you take a structured and proactive approach to managing uncertainty. They want to know if you can plan ahead rather than reacting when issues arise. A strong answer should show that you identify risks early, create mitigation strategies, and continuously monitor them throughout the project. It should also reflect that risk management is integrated into your workflow, not treated as a one-time task. I develop a risk management plan by first identifying potential risks during the planning phase, working closely with stakeholders and team members to get a full picture of what could impact the project. Once risks are identified, I assess each one based on its likelihood and potential impact so I can prioritize effectively. For the most critical risks, I create specific mitigation strategies that outline what actions will be taken if the risk occurs. This helps ensure the team is prepared rather than reacting under pressure. I also assign ownership for each major risk, so there is clear accountability. Throughout the project, I revisit and update the risk plan regularly as new information becomes available. This keeps the plan relevant and actionable. By treating risk management as an ongoing process, I'm able to reduce uncertainty and keep the project moving forward with confidence. Question number 7. How do you mitigate risks during project execution? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you actively manage risks once the project is underway. They want to see that you don't just plan for risks, but also take action to minimize their impact. A strong answer should show monitoring, communication, and adaptability. I mitigate risks during project execution by staying proactive and continuously monitoring for any signs that a risk may materialize. I maintain regular communication with the team so potential issues can be flagged early rather than after they've already caused delays. For identified risks, I follow the mitigation strategies outlined in the risk plan, but I also stay flexible in case adjustments are needed. If a risk starts to escalate, I act quickly to implement contingency plans and minimize disruption. I also ensure that stakeholders are kept informed about any significant risks and what actions are being taken. This helps maintain transparency and trust. By staying alert and responsive throughout execution, I'm able to reduce the impact of risks and keep the project on track. Question number 8. How do you handle a situation where a project is at risk of missing deadlines? Hiring managers ask this to evaluate how you respond when timelines are under pressure. They want to see if you can quickly assess the situation, make decisions, and keep stakeholders informed. A strong answer should demonstrate urgency, prioritization, and control. When a project is at risk of missing deadlines, my first step is to quickly assess what's causing the delay and how it impacts the overall timeline. I focus on identifying the critical path to understand which tasks are most important to keeping the project moving. Once I have that clarity, I work with the team to prioritize those critical tasks and look for ways to accelerate progress. This might involve reallocating resources, adjusting timelines, or removing non-essential work to focus on what matters most. I also communicate openly with stakeholders about the situation, including the cause of the delay and the actions being taken to address it. This helps manage expectations and maintain trust. By acting quickly and staying focused on priorities, I'm often able to recover lost time or minimize the overall impact on the project. Question number 9. Tell me about a time you had to make a quick decision with limited information. Hiring managers ask this to see how you handle uncertainty and time pressure. They want to know if you can make sound decisions without having all the data. A strong answer should show confidence, judgment, and accountability. In one project, we were preparing for a system rollout when we discovered a last-minute issue that could potentially affect a small portion of users. We didn't have enough time to fully investigate every detail, but a decision had to be made quickly. I gathered the available information, consulted with key team members, and assessed the potential impact of moving forward versus delaying the rollout. Based on that, I decided to proceed with the rollout while putting a monitoring plan in place to quickly address any issues that arose. I communicated the decision clearly to stakeholders, including the reasoning and the steps we were taking to manage any risks. After the rollout, we monitored the system closely and were able to resolve minor issues quickly without major impact. That experience taught me that even with limited information, a structured approach and clear communication can lead to confident and effective decision-making. Question number 10. How do you handle budget risks or cost overruns? Hiring managers ask this to see how financially aware and disciplined you are when managing a project. They want to know if you can detect early warning signs, take corrective action, and communicate effectively with stakeholders. A strong answer should show that you monitor spending consistently and don't wait until the budget is already exceeded. It should also reflect that you balance cost control with delivering value. I handle budget risks by first ensuring there is clear visibility into all project costs from the beginning. I break down the budget into key components and track actual spending against planned costs on a regular basis, so any variance is identified early. If I notice costs starting to trend higher than expected, I immediately look into the root cause. This could be due to resource allocation, scope changes, or inefficiencies in execution. Once identified, I work with the team to adjust where possible, such as reallocating resources, optimizing workflows, or removing non-essential work. I also communicate any budget risks early to stakeholders, along with proposed solutions, so there are no surprises. By staying proactive and transparent, I'm able to control costs effectively while still ensuring the project delivers its intended value. Question number 11. How do you identify root causes of problems in a project? Hiring managers ask this to evaluate your analytical thinking and whether you solve problems at the source rather than just addressing symptoms. They want to see a structured approach to diagnosing issues. A strong answer should show curiosity, methodical thinking, and collaboration with the team. I identify root causes by taking a step back and looking beyond the immediate issue rather than jumping straight to a solution. When a problem arises, I gather information from the team and review the sequence of events that led to it. I often break the issue down into smaller components and ask targeted questions to understand where things started to go wrong. This helps separate symptoms from the actual cause. I also involve the team in the process because they often have insights that aren't immediately visible at a higher level. Once the root cause is identified, I focus on implementing a solution that prevents the issue from happening again, not just fixing it temporarily. This approach leads to more effective problem solving and helps improve overall project processes over time. Question number 12. How do you prevent issues from reoccurring in future projects? Hiring managers ask this to see if you focus on continuous improvement and long-term success. They want to know if you learn from past mistakes and apply those lessons moving forward. A strong answer should highlight reflection, documentation, and process improvement. I prevent issues from reoccurring by making sure we capture lessons learned at the end of each project. I take time to review what worked well and what didn't, involving the team so we get a complete perspective. Once we identify key issues, I focus on turning those insights into actionable improvements. This could include updating processes, refining planning methods, or introducing new checkpoints to catch problems earlier. I also make sure these learnings are documented and shared so they can be applied to future projects, not just remembered. By consistently learning and improving, I'm able to reduce repeated issues and strengthen overall project execution over time. Question number 13. How do you balance risk versus opportunity in decision-making? Hiring managers ask this to understand how you evaluate trade-offs and make strategic decisions. They want to know if you can take calculated risks while protecting the project's success. A strong answer should show judgment, analysis, and alignment with goals. I balance risk versus opportunity by first clearly understanding the potential impact of both. Every decision involves trade-offs, so I assess what we stand to gain compared to what could go wrong. I evaluate the likelihood and impact of the risk while also considering how the opportunity aligns with the project's overall goals. If the potential benefit is high and the risk is manageable, I'm open to moving forward with a clear mitigation plan in place. I also involve key stakeholders in these decisions to ensure alignment and shared understanding of the potential outcomes. By taking a balanced and informed approach, I'm able to make decisions that support growth while still protecting the project from unnecessary risk. Question number 14. Tell me about a time you anticipated a problem before it happened. Hiring managers ask this to see how proactive you are and whether you can think ahead instead of just reacting. They want to know if you can spot early warning signs and take action before issues escalate. A strong answer should show awareness, foresight, and how your actions prevented a larger problem. In one project, we were preparing for a large system rollout, and while reviewing the timeline, I noticed that the testing phase was shorter than what similar projects had required in the past. Although everything looked fine on paper, I felt this could become a risk if issues were discovered late. Instead of waiting to see what would happen, I brought this up with the team and proposed extending the testing phase slightly while adjusting less critical tasks to balance the timeline. I also introduced an early testing checkpoint to catch potential issues sooner. As a result, we identified several small issues early that could have caused delays if discovered later. Because we addressed them ahead of time, the final rollout went smoothly without last-minute disruptions. That experience reinforced for me that paying attention to small details early can prevent much bigger problems down the line. Question number 15. How do you handle multiple risks occurring at the same time? Hiring managers ask this to evaluate how you prioritize and stay organized under pressure. They want to know if you can manage multiple challenges without losing control of the project. A strong answer should show prioritization, structured thinking, and calm decision-making. When multiple risks occur at the same time, my first step is to quickly assess each one based on its impact and urgency. Not all risks require immediate action, so I focus first on those that could significantly affect the project timeline or deliverables. Once priorities are clear, I work with the team to address the highest impact risks while keeping others monitored. I may delegate certain issues to team members to ensure we can handle multiple challenges efficiently without becoming overwhelmed. I also communicate clearly with stakeholders about what's happening and what actions are being taken so expectations are managed. By staying structured and focused on priorities, I'm able to manage multiple risks effectively without letting the situation disrupt the overall progress of the project. Question number 16. How do you communicate risks to stakeholders? Hiring managers ask this to see how transparent and effective you are when sharing potential issues. They want to know if you can communicate risks clearly without causing unnecessary concern. A strong answer should show clarity, timing, and solution-focused communication. I communicate risks to stakeholders by being clear, timely, and focused on solutions, rather than just the problem itself. When a risk is identified, I don't wait until it becomes an issue. I communicate it early so stakeholders are aware and prepared. I explain the risk in simple terms, including its potential impact and likelihood, so it's easy to understand. More importantly, I always include what actions are being taken to mitigate it or what options are available moving forward. I also tailor the level of detail depending on the stakeholder, ensuring the information is relevant and actionable. By communicating risks in a structured and transparent way, I'm able to maintain trust while keeping stakeholders informed and confident in the project. And finally, here's the last project manager problem solving and risk management interview question. Question number 17. How do you decide when to escalate a project issue? Hiring managers ask this to understand your judgment, and when you involve higher-level stakeholders, they want to see that you don't escalate too quickly, but also don't wait too long. A strong answer should show balance, awareness, and responsibility. I decide to escalate a project issue when it exceeds the team's ability to resolve it, or when it has a significant impact on timelines, budget, or key deliverables. Before escalating, I make sure I've explored possible solutions with the team so I can present options rather than just the problem. If the issue continues to pose a risk or requires decisions beyond my authority, I escalate it in a structured way. I clearly explain the situation, the impact, and the recommended next steps so stakeholders can make informed decisions quickly. I also make sure escalation is done early enough to prevent further complications rather than waiting until the issue becomes critical. By escalating at the right time and in the right way, I'm able to protect the project while maintaining trust and accountability. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.